Hey there, everybody, Mazarok here, and today I want to talk about something that I get quite a few questions on over time, and that is how do you find friends and pugs, and how do you get good pugs, and how to just generally succeed more or less within the group finder system of World of Warcraft. How do you get into groups better? Be a tank. How do you, just how do you generally have a better time within the group finder system? So before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. It goes such a long way. I cannot do this without your guys' support, and I want to thank everybody for all the support that I've gotten so far. This channel is growing like crazy, and I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Hit that button. Goes a long way. My guild Bloodstorm is currently actively recruiting for DPS, where we've got a tank and healer team pretty much set up. It's just a matter of getting some DPS down so we can get an AOTC group going and see how far that we can push content in this game. There is a community Discord link / guild link for Discord down below, as well as a Bloodstorm actual link for the website down there below. Check that out if you have any interest in coming over and talking and things like that. If you have any questions for me, do not hesitate. Ask away. I'm happy to answer them. And of course, there is a Twitch link down below if you like to watch people stream. I stream. Easy as pie. And if you like any weak auras, LVUI profiles, any subs, like anything like that, you can get them in that Discord link down below for free. I have them all there. You can just instantly get the profiles, weak auras, or anything like that. So let's get started. I have quite a few points on things that you can do to succeed and find more friends and things like that. So number one, and this is something a lot of people are afraid to do, is, and you'll hear this a lot, and it's true you're going to hear this a lot, but I want to provide more context to it than just this sentence, is push your own key. So you have a much easier time of filling up these bars if it's your key there and you get to choose who comes along. Now, point one, choose carefully. Think about the comp, think about what you need, think of the dungeon, and don't just take the first people that show up. You're going to get some good people. You're going to get some people that are maybe farming, that are just whatever they need, and you're going to find some absolutely fantastic players. But you need to be a little bit more selective on them. Check what their main score is and things like that. But also, there's a few indicators when someone applies on whether or not they're going to be good. For example, if somebody puts in their note, big dick DPS, I avoid them. I literally just laugh and say, well, bye. Like, I don't take those types of people. If you see a group that you're thinking about joining that says, oh, big dick deeps, don't apply to that group. Just don't do it. Those are groups that you just don't want to be a part of. They fail more often than not. Just stay away. But there's little things like that that you can avoid to help yourself get a better group going. Now, that doesn't mean, hey, take what's in the meta. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, hey, if it's not a blood DK, they're bad. No, if they have got a good rating but you can also see sometimes it's not just rating that matters. So if we look over here and we look to see what goes on. So here for me, for my paladin, I have over 40 timed plus 15s. Over 40. I would love to say that I spent a lot more time, but actually probably we're a couple weeks into the expansion. And I've done and I'm plus 22 times between 12 and 14, and I've done I think I've only done 5. I think I've only done 3 keys below a 9. So, and that was farming for a specific piece of gear. But as you can see, so here, if you're wondering whether or not I can time keys, and I have plus 22 time keys between 10 and 14, but I only have a couple of 15s. Maybe, judging by that information, I was uncomfortable if let's say I only had like 2 times 15s, if we're looking at the middle of the screen, but I have 22 or 40 plus time 10 to 14s, that might mean that I'm just shy going into higher content, but I know what I'm doing because I'm obviously timing a lot of these keys just at a little bit lower, but I'm as a tank, I'm now ready to make the jump up. You can deduce that information just by looking at this. Now, this is the Raider IO add-on that you can check. And you can just see this information, what their best run is, and things like that. So you can choose based on that and see who's up and coming. And sometimes, if I've got 2 insanely good DPS in my group and we basically know we can carry, I'll take someone along that's just funny. That's another way that you can get in. Your name's funny. You have a funny little note. There's just something weird. Sometimes we take a feral just because they put meow in the note and we're like, yeah, screw it. Let's just take it. It's funny. And then we do cat puns for the run. Those are weird things that you can do to stand out, because here is a little tip when telling you about how these things fill up. Now, I'm recording this at 10:30 on a Sunday morning, so it's not going to happen. But in the evening, afternoon to evening, I will post a plus 15 key, and in 60 seconds, I will have 100 to 150 applicants. Quite literally, I will have my pick of whoever I want. So if you're a DPS player, you're like, I never get picked for keys. Guess what? It's not you. Okay? It's not you. You need to understand that. It's how many people are actually applying to the key, and we can't judge every little thing. So sometimes it comes on spec. And sometimes it's, hey, I play a hunter, or I play survival hunter. They're meta right now. I don't understand why I'm getting declined for keys. Well, there's a decent chance that they're meta, the group that you're applying to already has one and doesn't want a second hunter. That does happen a lot, and I see that a lot with flavor of the month classes, where they're like, man, I'm the meta this month. Why am I being taken? Because we don't want a second one of you in our group. There's enough of you in our group that we don't need more, so you're gonna get declined. Maybe, have something with a little bit more specialization. For example, one of my buddies runs a feral alt that he does for fun, but we've been having him on his feral alt like all week more than he's wanted to, because he has a soothe. Raging week. He has a soothe. Oops. And that's what we want. We want a soothe in our group. So he's been playing it a lot, and he's like, can I play something else now? And we're like, no, we need you. You're still our only soothe. So just the way the comps have been working out and things like that. But next week, he's going to play that a little bit less. So know your strengths and know what you can do, but do it. If you've got a soothe, rock that soothe. And be proactive with it. If somebody posts a key for a plus 15, and you don't know what they're really after, focus on your specialty. Make something fun of it. Like if you're a druid, you wrote, hey man, don't worry, I'll smash that soothe button for you on a raging week, or a DOS, or a theater of pain. That's something that gets my attention. It means you actively know the mechanics, and you know how to how to do them. And that is a good way to kind of stand out. Is what is your spec really, really good at? And don't just say big dig deeps, because that's exactly how not to. But the utility in dungeons gets you much further. So that's definitely a way. Now that you've got a group started, you've got your own key, what are things that you can do to help improve your chances at finding groups, finding friends, things like that? Number one is talk in chat. A lot of pugs never say anything at all, and you run the key, GG, thank you, bye. Talk in chat. If something happens, like a boss melts, just be like, man, y'all pumpers blasting, just talk and be positive about the things that are going on. And if a wipe happens, don't just immediately start flaming everybody. Just be like, hey man, all right, good, let's try it again, let's do it again, whatever, cool. Things happen. It's all good. Be positive in chat, because at the end, if there's someone that was really good, that you noticed kicked a lot, used a lot of CC, tanked very well, healed really well, anything like that, ask them, hey man, do you mind if I add you on BattleNet? I'm looking for more friends to play with, and I think, we could play well together. If they say no, so be it. Guess what? No, it's a pug group. You're probably not going to see them again. Let's face it, there's a lot of people that play this game, and the chances of you actively getting into the, the same pug person more than a couple of times is rare. It does happen, of course. There are some people that I meet that I'm like, hey man, we've played before. You're really good. Cool. But add people to BattleNet. Then once you get them on BattleNet, actually ask them to run keys with you. Big brain, right? But if you add them to BattleNet and you never talk to them again, there was no point. So actively ask them to run keys. Now, another one you can do is take guildies. Now, this one here, a lot of people think that guild runs are immediately going to be better than pug runs. And I've got some news for you. I actively pug a lot of keys, and I actively do so because pugging keys with doing guild runs are not always the best. Now, if you're in a guild that actively pushes Mythic Plus, everybody's in it all the time, you're doing 15 pluses and everything like crazy, and you have that atmosphere and environment of Mythic Plus, this isn't going to apply to that scenario. But if you're in a guild that just mostly everybody likes to raid or kind of more social or anything like that, a guild run, if you are a person that's pushing higher in content, can actually be not as good. But run those keys. If you can do so with a teaching mentality, if something goes wrong, it's like, hey man, this ad does this deadly thrust. You don't want to be in front of that. That's where you died. It's not fun. So just maybe try standing behind him. Some people are going to take that as good, and some people are going to take that as negative criticism, as in they're not playing well. You can just kind of push those people aside and just don't play with them again. But you can form bonds and friendships that way through guild runs and things like that. But sometimes that takes time, and you actually have to start at a lower level to be able to get to the higher level with a little bit of practice. Now, again, this doesn't apply if your guild already has a high Mythic Plus environment and they really like timing higher end keys or timing 15 pluses and living in 15s. Like, basically all I do now is live in 15s. That's where I basically have my fun 15 plus, and I'll just play whatever and just kind of go from there. And if people aren't ready for it, people aren't ready for it. But at the same time, I need gear. I'm gearing up 6 tanks for YouTube. So for y'all. So I don't have time to always teach people how to come across in keys and things like that. But that is another thing that you can do, is you can actually look up guides for how to run dungeons, how to be in dungeons. Look up tips and tricks on certain dungeons and what your class is good at. And if you don't know, there's class and spec discords littered all over the place, and literally ask, hey, I don't feel as useful in Theater of Pain. Is there anything my spec can be doing that, like, secretly is, like, low-key just insanely valuable that I'm just missing? And a lot of times you're going to pick up something from someone that says, yeah, hey, on this pack, do this because this, and this. And you're going to be like, oh, dude, never even thought about that. And then when you start doing these things, you're gonna see your score go up, and if you see your score go up, people are gonna take you more, and the more keys that you have time, the more people are gonna take you, and then the better that you are. I know for me, when I'm looking for people to add on BattleNet, like after the end of the run, like, hey, I don't know really any good boomkins, or I don't know any this or that, I don't look at the damage meters. I look at, like, how often their utility was. I have a couple of amazing boomies on my friends list that I quite literally added because on the 5 occasions that I absolutely had to kite, I needed to get away, I ponied away, there was an Ursol's Vortex down within 0.5 of a second of me kiting. That means that boomy knows exactly what he needs to do to help his tank survive, which means he gets to survive and do more DPS right off the bat. Boomies that typhoon out of things out of Sanguine the moment something dies, and you can see them already pre-positioning themselves because they know a mob is going to die, leaving Sanguine under a hard to move mob, and they're already just waiting for it. So that Sanguine healing never even really gets to go off because they've typhooned. Those types of utility players are the players that I immediately add to my BattleNet. Like, immediately. If you think this damage done meter has anything at all to do with it, I'm telling you, it doesn't. And it doesn't most of the time for a lot of people. Sometimes, yes. Most of the time, no. So that's one thing you really do want to watch out for. Lastly, there are Mythic Plus communities and groups all over the place where you can form bonds and groups and find pugs. There is a couple of big notable ones on Discord. So let's take my Discord here, for example. Real quick, let's take this. So here we come down, we have Mythic Plus, Horde Mythic Plus community. Right off the bat, there is the Wowhead World of Warcraft servers. There is Perky Pugs. Perky Pugs is really, really good, by the way. And then you can go down to small ones. There's my guild community right here where you can have that. There's also Coffee and Keys. This is a smaller group that I joined with through friends of guilds and things like that. And we've run a bunch of keys together. We've done a bunch of stuff together. And if you're intimidated by big groups, join some of those. Excuse me. Join some of the smaller communities. There's a ton out there where you can find people that are, much more willing to talk in more quiet environments. But those are certain things that you can do as a player to try and make your pug experience go a little bit better. Just remember, if you're a DPS and you're applying into a group and you're wondering why you're not getting accepted, quite literally, it's chances are because there are 100 other people applying, and and you just might be getting overlooked. That happens all of the time. Lately coming about, there's world first raiders with big world first raider names in streaming communities and things like that were getting declined for 15 runs, that were currently in the active race to the world first mythic raid, that were getting declined for 15 pug runs, and it's probably because they never even saw their name. Things like that happen. You have to understand it's not just you. So there's that. Now, other ways that you can get into quick groups: be a tank, be a healer. Guess what? Always in demand. Always in demand. But aside from that, I hope some of these tips were helpful. I hope I was able to give you a little bit of insight to what goes on here. I pug pretty much everything as a tank because I can't play everything else. Being a DPS stresses me out too much, and healer clenches my butthole to extreme ends where I probably need medical attention. So let's not go there. But tanking is a lot of fun for me, so I tank. So I understand that I have a little bit easier time getting into groups, but that doesn't mean that every group that I pick doesn't work out well. Pugs fail, man. That's gonna happen. Guild runs also fail. Pug runs fail. You are not going to time every single key you run. That's just going to happen. The MDI is currently on as of recording this, and it needs to be said. Do you have any idea how much they practice those runs to make them perfectly? And they don't practice them on live keys. They practice them in tournament realms. They will do the same pull in a dungeon to start off the dungeon 250 times if it doesn't work out until they get it right, until where they know exactly where things are going. Live keys are different. Live keys will fail too. And you have to understand that sometimes there's just nothing you could have done that could have worked out better. So sometimes it is something you could have done. Sometimes it's not. But don't let a failed key ruin your day. It's going to happen. You're not going to time every key. Some keys are just going to leave. People are going to leave. Sometimes technology just hates you and decides to DC a couple of people. That happens. It's okay. But in the runs that do succeed, those are the ones you want to focus on. Build a community around you off that. Add people to Battle.net. Ask people to run keys with you in your guild and things like that and work with it that way. So, I hope you guys are enjoying 9.2 as much as I am. I hope this video was insightful. Have yourselves a good day, and thank you very much.